Oh, wrong way. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing good this evening. I hope that everyone has had a good day and has had a good week. Tomorrow is Friday, and you already know, but it's Thursday. Which means we got another episode of Honest Hour here. And tonight, my guest is my friend, my sis, Courtlandt Christenson. What's going on, sis-in-law? Tonight, this episode is gonna be good, a good one. We're gonna talk about purpose. We're gonna talk about about her and the way she moves and the things that she does. She's joined the room, so we're gonna invite her in right away. Try it again. It's acting up. Not letting me bring her in. Why is that? Try to send the invite to me. See if that works. Not I'll have to go out of the live and do it again. There you are. What's going on? Oh,
Hey, bro, can you hear
what's
me?
up, sis?
What's
I
going
can hear you.
on? You
I'm
can hear me?
maintain. I can hear you. You can hear
Uh,
me?
I can hear you. So I don't know what happened. I was trying to join from my computer,
Yeah.
but it wasn't having it. So
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
to switch it up and go to the
IG
phone,
don't
you know?
IG don't be liking the computer for
That's
some reason.
crazy. I'm like, that would give me some better coverage. I had my little webcam set up and everything, you know? Is this all right?
Oh, your sound went out.
How am
Oh,
I?
no. Yeah, I can hear you, but now you're sideways.
Okay, we getting it together. Okay.
we
What's
we
going on, bro?
I can't complain, sis. Maintaining, living this dream. Somebody's dream, not exactly mine. It's hot. I'm sure it's hotter where you are.
It is. I'm in Houston. You know, it's real hot. Right now it's 93 outside. The high is
Oh,
supposed to be 97.
oh,
Yes,
oh.
it's crazy.
I've been
So don't be saying it's hot. It ain't hot
no,
until you've been in this heat.
no. It's hot here. It's scorching there. It's
Yes,
beyond scorching there.
yes.
Oh Lord. Like I always said, I said to my wife, we should give Texas a try. She goes, nope, too hot. Nope.
Yeah, I've been trying to get my sister to come this way, but she's like, girl. I'm like, yeah, it definitely is. You got to be ready for the heat for real.
You know,
So.
even though y'all got some snow a couple years ago, that was
Yeah, I wasn't here then
oh,
though.
you
I
weren't
was still in
there yet?
Atlanta. Nah, I was in Atlanta, so
Oh
I
man.
missed the whole cold snap
Oh,
situation.
so you was good because then people were freaking out down there.
Yeah, 'cause they ain't never had nothing like that. And so when you don't prepare, like you're just unprepared.
Right.
So,
And
yeah.
you can't prepare for something that you're not supposed to have, right?
Mm-hmm. True that. True that.
Well, one thing I prepared for was tonight. This episode, we spoke early last year about podcasting,
Mm-hmm.
and you took a hiatus from the internet, and you came back full fledged, and now here we are about 16 months later,
Yes, very
live and
much.
in living color.
Yes, in
And
living color.
for anyone who does not know or has not seen her online, she is one of the most positive people you could ever meet.
Aw.
Her videos are inspiring, they motivate, they catch your attention. She is very, very thorough in her message. And hopefully by the end of this, you all learn something. And I'm probably going to learn something I did not know.
Well, I'm ready, Mike. I'm
So,
I'm ready. Once you told me we're gonna talk about purpose,
you know,
that's my
listen,
thing.
and it's that's what it is. That's what we live in is purpose, and people have to find that. Sometimes we don't have it, and we don't know what it is.
Hmm.
So we're gonna get started with a little bit about you. So, were you born in Newburgh?
I
You
was. I actually was
were
born in
okay.
St. Luke's Hospital. Saint, well, I ain't gonna say that nickname, but there's some nicknames for that hospital. But I was born in St. Luke's
Oh,
Hospital. Yeah.
oh man.
So,
And then so you were raised in Newburgh. What was your experience in Newburgh like growing up?
well, my dad was Charles Kimbrough, so he was the basketball coach
Okay.
for a lot of people, and so God rest his soul. So, my experience with Newburgh was, all my brothers and sisters. I'm a young person in the family, and so I had all my brothers and sisters that came before me that were well known. Um, and my experience with Newburgh was just like one of family. I grew up in the Heights.
Yeah.
Some of my family, were across town, as they call it, near where NFA is. And so my experience with Newburgh when I was younger was it was a very family oriented town. Like, growing up, everybody played with everybody. We just had a lot of fun. Like, I feel like the city, from what I remember, cookouts, I remember just going to events, going to the little parade we used to have for Christmas. You remember that back
Uh-huh.
in the days?
Yep, exactly. We would be chilling in
Yeah.
the
And
cut.
so I think, going to Newburgh, living in Newburgh, growing up there really put a lot of hustle in me, taught me a lot. I think Newburgh has a lot of great teachers and a lot of great people who inspired me, like Mr. Harvey,
Of
you
course.
know,
Of
Mr. Harvey, Miss
course.
Hill, these are great people who chose to invest in a town that not a lot of people cared about. And, they have instilled a lot of great values in a lot of us that we took on with us. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, Mr. Harvey's an old family
Hmm.
friend. My sports show that I do on Mondays,
Hmm.
that's his nephew.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yep.
Dasha.
Yep,
Yes,
yep.
yes, I
That's his
remember him
that's
from
his
Field Quest.
nephew. So I'm like, dang, you look more like the twins than your parents, bro. Like, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah. Mr. Harvey was
so
my dance teacher
yeah,
in school.
when I was, doing the as I call it, the creeper thing,
Hmm.
I was looking through the profile and I seen
Hmm.
the throwback. You right in the middle with your head barely up.
Yes, I did the dance team and the step team.
Oh
So, yeah.
man. And what was that like for you? Like how did that help shape who you have become? Because in order to be on the dance team or the step team, you have to be coordinated,
Hmm.
and very very precise, and the timing has to be right. Because
Hmm.
listen, anyone who can dance, they got my credit. Because I be watching Ralph dance, and I'm like, bro,
Oh, Ralph, that's my boy. So
yeah,
me and Ralph on the dance team, I, used to choreograph the dance with Ralph
right,
for the dance team, and we used to make steps up for the step team. So I did both. So I used to create the steps and I used to do the dance team. And that was like a real change for me because up until that point I never really danced or anything.
right.
So like I used to dance kind of like with my friends, but when I got to high school I wanted to branch out. And so I started doing step, and then I became like one of the captains of the step team with Miss Hill and creating, the choreographing the shows, and then with Mr. Harvey, doing the dances, and me and Ralph together. He would create the male parts, and I would
Hmm.
create the girl parts, and
Okay.
so yeah, those are some fond memories. Like I love Ralph, and like that's my boy.
Yeah, yeah. Ralph's my brother, man. Last year during his Mavor week, I shot a lot of the pictures for
Did
it.
you?
I
Oh,
did.
that's awesome.
I did. I
He's
did. I
doing
what? I
great
had
things.
absolutely. I'm still trying to get this man on this show.
He's a busy
You know,
man. You know, he does a lot
listen.
of
That
stuff.
man opens up that calendar and there's a dot on every day. Like dang, Ralph. I mean, just pick a day, man. I don't even care if it's a Sunday. Like we'll do it on your time. Just come on
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah, Ralph is everything. When you can get him on here, I look forward to tuning in because he's done great things and
Oh,
doing great things in
yeah,
Newburgh.
he's
So
gonna be a repeat offender. You can't get Ralph in one episode, or we'll be here for 10 hours. So the
yeah.
last I remember seeing you was like 10th grade, maybe
Yeah.
10th grade, and you had what's going on, bro? And you had moved to Georgia. What did you move to Atlanta, or what part of Georgia did you move to?
I did. So I moved to Atlanta because I don't know if you know, but I moved back and forth a lot. So like I would be there and then I would leave because my mom was always in Georgia, and so I was raised between the two. And
Okay,
so that final time when I left in 10th grade, that was it. Like I stayed in Georgia after that, and we did move to Atlanta. And then I was there all the way up until now, until I moved to Houston. I never left Atlanta. I mean, I went to New York a few times to take care of my dad and different things, but Atlanta was my home base from that
okay.
time on up.
Oh, so once you was out of 10th grade, you was like, all right, this is it,
Yeah.
ATL.
And I always wanted to stay. So I only came back because of my dad and my family. Like I
Yeah.
would miss them when I was younger, but then by the time I got older, I just wanted to pursue different opportunities, and I didn't necessarily feel like I was going to be able to do that being in Newburgh and staying. I wanted to, branch out to Atlanta
Okay.
and see the big world.
Well, it seems like Atlanta's got a lot of opportunity there,
Mhm.
um, and there's a lot of connections there that can really help branch those types of things that people like to do, no matter in
Mhm.
what field they're in.
Yeah.
So that seems like that was the right direction.
Mhm.
What was the cultural change like? Because Atlanta ain't nothing like New York. I ain't never been there, but I know it ain't nothing like New York.
Yeah, so with Atlanta, one, the main culture change is that it's predominantly Black. And so going there and getting the experience of having not only just Black people in the neighborhood, but people in prominent positions being, African American, I think that was inspiring. And like you said, there are a lot of opportunities to network. There's a lot of events. There's just, a wide open door for people who want to partake in anything. And there's a lot of different lanes. I mean, obviously, you may know that Atlanta is like the Black movie, capital where a
Hmm.
lot of movies and films are done. And so different people who want to, especially get into the entertainment industry, tend to go to Atlanta. And then because it's predominantly Black, it just feels empowering. Like, when I would go to New York and visit, especially way upstate, and it would be less Black
Yeah, you're
coming back
like,
to Atlanta. It'd be like, yeah, it felt good being around my people. So I definitely love that part about Atlanta.
and you kind of feel like at home. You're just like, all right, this is just
Mhm.
you fit in culturally.
Mhm.
Obviously, as a dark skinned woman, you are, you just fit in naturally down there amongst those people, you know, as as any one of us would, and you just get a part of your culture, step teams and the and pledging and all that stuff.
HBCUs, yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
all that stuff is so important,
Well, I
and
think
it's great.
not only just being, dark skin, I think of any shade because I feel like with being in Atlanta, one thing it shows you is the different sides of our culture, and there's no one way that you have to be. So you have some more natural sisters who, are on that side. You have people who choose to be a little more glamorous with the way that they approach things. I just think, regardless of the tone, it still feels like home because everywhere you look, you just feel the culture inbred. There's a lot of things that happen, and those unspoken things that happen amongst
Mm,
Black folks when you're out and you
uh-huh.
just know, and just so it's more from that perspective, but there's not necessarily as much colorism that I experience. It's just a lot of comfort because you're just around your people in general. So
And you,
I
yeah, it's
want to
like a,
say something about that, not just because of the dark skin part. Let's not.
no, 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 no,
Let's
no, no,
not.
no, not at all.
So,
But I know, like, something, especially in our time, and even now, like, okay, maybe you remember, I recall, if you were darker growing up, people made fun of you.
yeah,
Now,
I mean, I had that from my family when I was young. Yeah, but
but now,
that's kind of.
now, if you light skin, they make fun of you.
Hmm.
So, so
If
it's
you're
just
black.
like kind of. Yeah, yeah, exactly. They tell the people when I talk about like Steph Curry, they'd be like, "Oh, he's not black, he's yellow." Like, what you mean? What's that even mean? Like, he's yellow.
Yeah, people get into those kind of things, but black is black. To me, a quote I have for Black history is just saying that black is an essence. That's why people can tan as much as they want
Hmm.
and people can be mixed, but then there's still just this essence when you have actual black in you that changes things. So I think it just runs deeper than skin tone and those kind of things,
Absolutely.
because there's things that are in us ancestrally where we do the same things. There's a guy, I can't remember his name, but he does all these videos talking about like what black people do, like the black person at the cookout, this and that. And it just runs so deep, you know what I mean? Where it's like these are things that nobody taught us all, and we all do them. So that's that unity in the essence of just being black. So,
And we love it. We love
hmm
all of it.
hmm black and proud.
So that's it to the end, no doubt. We got to say it with our chest.
Mhm. No doubt.
So as I was going through, I was looking at some of the stuff that you have that like you wrote a book and things of that nature.
Yes.
But you know what? I think I'm gonna flip flop this. Uh,
Okay, flip flop it
I'm
then.
gonna flip flop this because I think it goes a little bit better. What is your definition of purpose?
Okay, see, I knew you were going to ask me that. So I have some notes.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew you was going to ask
She
me that.
came prepared,
And,
yo.
I like to flow off the top, but at the same time, I feel like because purpose is my purpose to help people discover their purpose and walk in it, I feel like I need to define it as I define it. So that way, when I'm speaking and people watch my videos, they understand what I mean. Because some people think that purpose is connected to finances. Some people think that purpose is connected to fame or just things that we can chase and achieve. But for me, I put that purpose is living out the giftings that God placed in us to bless and pour into others while we're being fulfilled in our passion. To me, that's what I feel like purpose is, because when you try to make it something you have to obtain, then you don't understand what purpose is, because purpose is within. Purpose is something that you discover. Purpose is something that you're born with, that you're meant to walk out. And it can be somebody who cuts grass. That's their purpose because they enjoy doing it. They're passionate about it. It brings them, success, and they're able to bless other people doing it. Purpose is greater than financial achievement. For me, my purpose and what I do is literally just sharing my hardships. And because I'm, honest, hot, like I say, honest, open, and transparent about the things that I've gone through, it inspires other people. I don't ever have to tell a person, do this, do that. I just am very transparent about these are the struggles I had. These are the things that I fell short in. These are the things that I'm learning. And my purpose comes from my failure, sharing those things openly, testifying of what I've gone through, and it fulfills other people. And then for me, it's fulfilling because I'm walking in the freedom of who I am. I'm not pretending to be anyone. I'm not
Right.
hiding things. I share a lot of things and have shared a lot of things. And so that's what I think with purpose, it's like you can't define what it is. It's different for each person, as far as like what it should be for each person, but it definitely is going to be something internal that you discover through your experiences, and it's going to continue to grow and flourish and transform as you go through life and different experiences and encounters.
Woo!
Now I can't say that again. I know it was deep, like I say in my videos. I can't say it
Woo!
again, but I know that was deep. But yeah, that's
And
that's
that's
what
gonna be
purpose
the
is.
clip that I'm gonna use when I post. This episode was short. I take the video, I post it, and I tag the guests, and then I take shorts, and that is needed. That is needed to be heard. Woo! Like, listen, I don't know if you know Keisha Hall. I had her on the show last week, and we didn't have as much time. And we started, and like I know her, but like we didn't like know each other.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she started hitting me with stuff. I had to take a break. I just stopped
You had
interviewing.
to
Yeah,
hold up.
and yeah, like I was like, whoo, okay. Said, all right. I just can't. Woo, and that's another moment. Like, damn,
Mhm.
you just got, whoo, man. I'm glad I switched it up because that's gonna lead it better.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
I had now obviously I don't have a copy of the book, so I
I
had
have one here. Yeah.
so I had
And
to
it's my book
there
here.
there it
And
is.
it's so, but go ahead. Let me let you finish before I make a
Yep,
comment.
I had to search for it. I was just like, where is this thing at? And then like I just came across some random post on I don't even know who posted. I said, there it is.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So what were we gonna say about the book?
No, I was going to say the backstory to this book is so initially when I made it, I planned to sell it at a certain point. I wanted some of the proceeds and still do. So this is an active plan. The goal was for proceeds of it to go back towards women in women's shelters because I wrote the book as a guide. Essentially, it's a self-love, self-awareness journey of a person with the steps that I took in my life that helped me to get where I'm at. So with it, I didn't like release it for public consumption or for sale yet,
Okay.
and I was teaching it privately at shelters. And so as a caveat, my children and I, let me just start there. Me and my children were in a shelter in 2019 from February until October. And so we were in a women's shelter. And so at that same shelter, when I left, I came back and started doing Bible studies. And then the Bible studies grew. And then they asked me to come on and be the women's program coordinator. And then I became the women's program director. So I started doing Bible studies, hosting women's events like sip and paints and just different things to pour into the ladies and just sharing my testimony of how I came out of the shelter. And then I was working on this. This started as a template for a Bible study I did one day.
Okay.
And then from there, I wanted to turn it into a book. And so I was talking to the CEO of the organization, the founder, and I was just kind of telling him, I was trying to write my book. And he's like, oh, well, what's the book about? So then when I was telling him, he's like, oh, that's phenomenal. I think that would really bless the ladies. And so he was like, well, how soon can you get the book to me? And so I was like, oh, I should have it done soon. And so they asked me to be the keynote speaker at the gala for that year. And so I went home and I only had the template, the outline for the Bible
Right.
study. And so I just prayed about it and I ended up writing the book in one day. So I stayed up all night from that
Wow.
night to like 6 a.m., just up, like writing. And when my mom, she woke up, she's like, girl, you still up? I'm like, yeah. But it just kind of poured out of me because it's my life experience. So it's not something that I have to rehearse.
Yeah.
And so essentially, that's how the book got created. And so when I started to release it, I did it with the ladies at the shelter and teaching them. And then from there, I plan to sell it. I just want to get it set up so that the proceeds can go back to the ladies because when you finish the book, I plan to do like an elevation graduation for them to pour into them. So there's goals that you set. So if they want to get their GED or maybe just whatever, just being able to bless them so they can leave with something in hand in addition to the
Yes.
internal growth, having something tangible. And so that's what's in the works. And so eventually it will be released for sale. But I initially just was teaching it at shelters
Wow.
in Atlanta.
Wow. So it was just kind of like I, I don't know, if spur of the moment's the right phrase, but it kind of just seems like it started as one simple idea and then it just grew into this
Yeah, and
into
that's with
this.
anything. It starts as something. So you have to start somewhere. So with it, the time that I did it as the Bible study, it was meant for that timing. And then when it turned into a book, it's meant for that timing. So that's with anything that we do. It really was just divine because I wanted to share it and it was healing for me because when I first did it, also transparent moment, I was scared that it wasn't going to be that good because I'm like, who wants to read about, like I'm thinking like, what do I have to say is how I kind of felt. So like, as I did the book, Testify also started. So all of that started all at that time. And that's when I discovered my purpose. But at first, I don't think I also had the confidence in it that it really would make an impact until I taught it at the shelters and women have given me testimonies about how it's changed their lives. That gave me the confidence. But at first, it was more like, okay, I'm doing it. And it was me riding on the confidence of the people from the shelter, from the program, who were saying, Courtlandt, like, you should do this. People are going to, from that perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on real quick. Had to, forgot to put on do not disturb in
That's
case.
what happened to me earlier. People calling. I'm like, don't be calling me. Hold up.
Yeah, just had to be careful. That's why one of
Yeah.
my friends is asking me questions about the NBA Finals, and
Oh,
I know
okay.
if I don't answer him, he's gonna FaceTime me, and it's gonna mess
Okay.
everything up, and I'm
So
gonna be
let's
mad.
let's block the
Yeah,
friend for the
yeah,
sorry friend.
yeah, exactly.
Not
You
right
know,
now.
yeah, exactly. You can wait till after this is over. The game's gonna go. It's gonna be fine.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, it'd be
He'll be
just
all
fine.
right.
So, so you talked, speaking about the shelter, you
Mhm.
talked about trials and obstacles that you have overcome
Mhm.
that um that you said you shouldn't be here.
Mhm.
And on the believe on that book it says that you suffered from domestic violence.
Mhm. That and many other things.
Oof. Well, you don't want to get too into that. I understand. That's the
Oh,
only thing that
oh,
stuck out.
oh, no, no, no. I'm healed. I'm healthy. I'm whole. I am joyful. I don't feel any kind of way and I don't hold any shame because it's my purpose. So for
Okay.
me, I'm an open book in the right ways.
Yes.
There's discretion with stuff, but when it comes to sharing my testimony, to me, I feel like it is glorifying God because so many people go through things and they never want to talk about where they came from.
Right.
They never want to say that they were homeless. It's always like everybody wants to be up, but like you're not always up. And I take pride in the obstacles that I've gone through because when people see me, I don't feel like my energy is not, my approach to life, the positivity I walk in doesn't look like anything I've gone through. And I pride myself on that. So
Mhm.
that way, when somebody's drawn in by the positivity and the appearance and whatever, then I can say, oh, well, let me tell you what I've gone through. And then it can inspire people because everybody's gone through something. So with the domestic violence, that actually happened early when I moved to Atlanta. And so I moved out of my mom's house when I was like 15 years old. By the time I
Wow.
got to Atlanta, I was ready to live the freaknik life. I thought I knew. I thought I knew. I was like, I'm going to Atlanta. Like,
Hot
I'm gonna find me a
Atlanta.
baller. You know what I'm saying? And so I moved out very early. But with that and with the naivety of who I was, I ended up encountering a guy. He was young as well, too. And I've since forgiven him. But with that, I encountered a guy that just wasn't good. And I didn't have the understanding to leave because it was the first time I had ever encountered that situation. And so when you're in a domestic violence situation, people always say, oh, just leave. But sometimes you just don't know any
Right.
better. And so for me, like I was young and he didn't start off that way. So by the time things got bad, I considered myself to love him and be in love with him. And, he had done a lot for me. And with the traumas that I experienced, he seemed like he understood me. And so even though he had these random bouts of being abusive and things, it wasn't enough to make me leave because I still also felt this support that I didn't feel that I had gotten, especially with like issues with my dad and things growing up.
Right.
And so, yeah, I encountered that at a young age. And it transformed my life because I almost died in that situation with my son because of the stress and the things that I was going through. This is at 16, 17 years old and in the hospital with my son. Either he wasn't going to make it or I wasn't. So I was on high risk.
Oof.
I was in the hospital for like 2 months. And so going through that, coming out of that situation, it strengthened me in a way that I never would have thought because these are things that a lot of people don't make it out of. But it just taught me
Absolutely.
like my worth, where I'm like, Lord, I deserve better than that. and I need to do the right things to raise my son. And so with my son, I just was determined, and it just made me have a resilience and an ambition that was crazy. I was like a pit bull when it came to being like, you know what?
I'm gonna get it.
I'm telling you. And so it sparked a lot. And so I always tell people that, because people don't want to go through negative things, or
Hmm.
people tend to harp or hold on to negative things. But when you have experiences, good or bad, it is your response to them and how you choose to live that out that determines whether it can propel you forward, or it can be a prison or a bondage to you mentally, you know? And so I just chose to use it as a stepstone to just say, like, this doesn't define me. And it taught me about myself that I deserve, great things, and that my son deserved great things. And so I needed to make better choices for him. And so, yeah, that was that. You only got an hour. I could
You
tell
got as
you
much time as you
so many
got. We here.
things.
We here now. Like I told you before, I had an episode go 2 hours and 30 minutes. It don't matter to me.
Yeah, it was like, how much time you got? Oh no, okay. So
You
yeah, you know.
that that's a difficult situation, especially when you're so young. It's like you said, you don't know, and
Mhm.
that kind of abuse, it messes with you mentally,
Mhm.
emotionally, and and in all forms,
Mhm.
and I
It
tell
does.
I tell people, even when you're in a relationship with someone, you share so much with them. You
Mhm.
share your thoughts, you share your feelings, you
Mhm.
share your body,
Mhm.
you share everything, and that kind of energy has to
Exchange.
mesh,
Mhm.
and then sometimes, because people don't understand, and people don't think like this, but especially sexual energy, that you're
Mhm.
exchanging a certain
Mhm.
energy, and people don't feel it. People
Mhm.
don't want to talk about it. They think just, oh yeah, I did it. Got what
Mhm.
I needed. Good. No,
Mhm.
you exchange
You
energy.
exchange, yes, you exchange the energies, and I think a lot of times you exchange a person's habits in different things. Like if
Hmm.
you're exchanging with a person and that person has anxiety and things like that, a lot of times you can pick that stuff up. People don't understand that, but it definitely is a major thing who you choose to link yourself with and exchange anything with, but especially sexually, because you become tied to that person in a spiritual way, which is why sometimes when people find themselves in domestic situations, the sexual aspects, the bond, and let's not even get on the spiritual side, even from a scientific standpoint, the chemicals that are exchanged that link
Yes,
you and make you feel drawn to this person, that makes it difficult to disconnect. So yeah, it's a whole lot
there's
that
a
goes
lot
with
of
that.
layers,
Mhm.
to this, or
Mhm.
to that
Uh-huh.
exchange.
Yeah.
So I want to go link back to purpose.
Okay.
We got your definition, and when did you discover your purpose? When did you know, without a shadow of a doubt, my purpose is this?
Okay. So I don't think that there's not like, I think discovering your purpose is like a culmination of different events that confirm what you're sensing. So for
Okay.
me, I'm going to say, so when I started doing Testify and I started, doing the Bible studies and wrote my book and different things, I started to realize like how much people would tell me I was impacting them, and I felt myself growing, like, in courage. I found the insecurities that I had were starting to disappear. I had a boldness, because up until I started doing what I like do, I didn't talk like this. If you go back before I did Testify, like, I didn't really speak to anybody and share the wisdom of what I had gone through, because I didn't feel like anybody would listen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I spent years hidden where I just knew all this stuff, but I just never felt led to share it. But then as these different pieces were coming
Right.
together, and I started having these encounters, like Uber drivers who I would just talk to them, and they would ask me like, "Are you a life coach?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. Why?" But then I'm in the grocery store and this person's like, "Oh my God, like, you've blessed me so much. Like, what do you do? And so as all of these instances started to come together, then I started to discover, like, you know what? Like, I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy sharing my testimony. I really enjoy encouraging people. And I would do it for no money. I did do it for no money
Mhm.
for a long time. And when you do that and you flow in it and it's authentic to who you are, that is when I was like, you know what? This is my purpose, because there's nothing else that makes me feel more free and feel more me. And I think that's when you're discovering your purpose, when you're like, you know what? I would do this for no money. I feel so fulfilled. I could talk like this. Like when I do testify, I don't have no notes. I just be talking about
Yeah.
whatever, comes up in my spirit. And so I think that's what I would say is like it was a bunch of different little breadcrumbs that came together to make the life.
Okay. And I think, and there are certain people in life,
Mhm.
and I think you're the third person I've said this to.
Hmm.
There are certain people in life, when they say something, it resonates with people's souls.
Mm.
So what I mean is, like, the first person is, I don't know if you remember Daria.
Oh yeah, that was my girl.
Yeah,
Yes.
she getting married at the end of this month. I'm gonna be in the
Oh
building.
really?
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
yep,
Congratulations to
she's gonna
her.
be in the building. 7 months pregnant and all.
Oh,
you
congratulations
know,
to her.
absolutely. So during Award Week last year, they did a Ladies Vibes,
Mhm.
and which is a podcast. Niecy Lewis and this
Oh
other girl Ty
yeah,
do.
Nisi, my girl.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, Niecy. So her and Ty do it, and they did a live episode. And Daria was on a guest panel, and she's always spoken, but she speaks with so much confidence, and there's
Mhm.
assertiveness,
Mhm.
and you can hear that, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then last week, Keisha was the same way. There was just
Mhm.
a certain level of confidence.
Mhm.
With you, there is confidence, the but there's more belief because you
Hmm.
believe what you're saying and you stick with it. Not that the other
Hmm.
two don't believe what they're saying, but there's the belief behind it that you
Mhm.
know it's true or
Mhm.
know it to be true. And you
Mhm.
feel that in your
Yeah.
soul and in your heart.
Mhm.
So when you post these videos, it's very, even though, yeah, I know you say you don't have notes, it's very natural for
Mhm.
you because that's who you are. You're
Mhm.
naturally a motivator. You're naturally just this is just something you were, like you said, that you found your purpose
Mhm.
and this is what you were meant to do. So you
Yeah. You
should
better go ahead, bro. Go ahead, hype me up. Hype your girl up. Hype me up. Keep going.
so you have to really just, that's why, like a lot of people tell me I have this aura around me of just good energy and
Mhm.
good vibes, and that I should be, to your point, doing more with it
Mhm.
than I
Mhm.
already am.
Mhm.
So they were like, you talk to people, like, bro, get paid to do this. Like,
Mhm.
have people come to you. You can do it.
Yeah.
You know.
I think there's an authenticity with you,
Mhm.
like I think even in preparation for this, how you did your research, and I think people wait to have that level of discipline and practice once they reach a certain space. But for you to start out already wanting to put a certain amount of professionalism and seriousness into your craft, that is going to set you apart, because I'm like, what? He done researched me. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I'm just going on to talk to my homeboy from high school. But it was like, no, like because you approached it in such a passionate sense and you were, just saying, sis, like, I want to tell your story. It motivated me to come and be a little more prepared, because I'm like,
Appreciate that.
okay, so big you up
Yeah.
too.
Appreciate that, because for me it's like, yeah, like, people, that's what a few other guests said, oh, what we could talk about. I said, we can talk about you. like
Yeah.
that's what, that's the craft I've tried to make.
Mhm.
And I've watched a couple different people in preparation. I watch
Mm-hmm.
Club Shay Shay.
Yeah.
I watch Drink Champs. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
long winded, and
Yeah.
Nori's all over the place, but
Nori.
you can see what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched one called the Purpose Podcast.
Mm.
That's real good. If you don't know it, I'll send it
Yeah.
to you. It's real good. Kevin Hart has an in-person interview show called Heart to Heart,
I've
and it's a
heard of
serious
that one.
show. It's on
Mm-hmm.
Peacock,
Okay.
and it's really like a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, and just watching people, I just culminated what I like, and each week I'm learning
Well,
something new. All
that's
right, I
great.
messed that up. Well, we gotta fix that. I messed that up. Okay, and with each
Yeah.
week, it's yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just starting to develop a craft.
That's great. And you're
You
doing
know,
good, bro. And I just see
appreciate
it,
it.
going
Sis.
far. We talked about it a long time ago,
Yeah,
and when we were messaging, and I'm like, you should just do it. Just start where you are. And so I'm proud to even, be in this position where we're having this conversation.
oh,
And then later, as you continue to grow, me coming back and us, celebrating the
listen,
wins.
we're trying, and I do. There's so many other things. I've become an ordained minister.
Oh,
I
you better go
yeah, I bet.
ahead.
Still, I do photography. I
Mm,
do the sports show.
okay.
I'm looking. I show everyone. I don't even care. I got a whole vision board here.
That's wonderful. And you
Yep.
should show that.
Yep.
It's important to have a vision.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I did. I started, got the photography, the podcast in there.
Yes. Mm,
I got,
nice.
I'm in talks to start a clothing line
Okay.
that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's more. I just can't remember it right now.
Yes.
But,
But
but
that's
yeah.
wonderful because I feel like, that's why I said with purpose, it compounds on
Mhm.
top of different things. It doesn't stay the same. Like the general, like I believe in my life, I always will in some capacity speak to people and share my story. But as you're working out purpose, it's almost like if you have a sponge and that sponge is filled, you begin
Yes.
to squeeze it and it has different pockets of things and they all relate back to your passions and things. And so I'm a big proponent of doing everything. You want to be excellent, so you don't want to just be doing so much that you never accomplish anything. But I do think it's very fulfilling for us when we exercise all of our different giftings because it's
Yes.
like you're pouring out as opposed to sitting on the sidelines spectating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I see. So through all that stuff that happened and these people saying it,
Hmm.
is that when you decided I'm going to become a life coach? You knew how, that's what you were supposed to do. And what is the exact definition of a life coach?
Okay. So I would say yes. When a few people told me and I started looking into it, the person that I got certified through is Tony Gaskins, and he's like a well-known life coach. He was big on social media. He's one of the original people that started doing the relationship experts and all that kind of stuff. And it really taught me something because people kept asking me, and these are different people who don't know each other at different times. Like I said, an Uber driver who's like, "Are you a life coach?" Like just different people. And then randomly, I saw like an ad for his certification where he had a deal on it, and it was like I think $500 or something. And money was tight at that time because I
Mhm.
just had gotten out of the shelter and things. But I just felt like when you're going towards your purpose, you have to take a risk. And so I definitely had to like pinch some pennies and oodles and noodles it up. But I was like, I'm not missing this. Like, he's
Yeah.
going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to go and get certified. But with being a life coach, something that people misunderstand is life coaching is not like therapy, right? And I have my own definition of coaching, which will be different to different people. For me, because of the vein that I'm in with purpose, so with life coaching, it's not therapy. I don't diagnose. We don't really get into traumas and just different things like that. We use the past as a reference point because it is relative. You need to use it to learn because one of my personal quotes is the only way to be successful is to truly know who you are. Like you have to know yourself. So your past is relative in that regard because there are cycles that we're involved in, there are patterns of behavior, and you need to be able to know what those things are.
Hmm.
You need to leverage the weaknesses or failures or shortcomings, because some things you can't change. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
So some things is not, you just, that's how you're going to be. But
That's
then on the other side, the great things, we want to, we want to cultivate those things. And so with coaching, coaching is like partnering with someone in their life to motivate them, to hold them accountable, to inspire them, and to encourage them to succeed and achieve a goal.
okay.
So that can, so I've had women that I've coached as far as relationally, like a woman who I coached who was, ending a divorce and wanted to heal. I've coached, people who were starting businesses. It's just different veins of things. But with the coaching, it's more holding someone accountable. It's helping them to see things about themselves that they don't see, and then holding them accountable with it. So when they speak to me, I'm listening a lot of
Yeah.
times, but I'm listening for deeper things. And then I ask them questions. And through those questions, we get answers, or we get, goals that we set. And then we put action towards those things. So when I meet with people, sometimes they don't need a coach. So when I do that introductory call, coaching is for people who are ready for a life change. You're ready for a life transformation.
Hmm.
It's not for someone who needs healing from traumas and different things, because those people are not ready necessarily to put action in. Those people need healing before they even can be successful at moving forward. So that's not coaching. So when I talk to a person and they're too broken, they're too this, they're too that, they may need to go to a therapist or someone from the medical side. But
Yes.
when you come out of that, if I talk to you and it's, I want to get my degree, I want to, do better how I show up in relationships, I'm trying to make a career change, I want to know how to level up, or I want to parent better, whatever those things are, that's a person that's ready to put action in, where we
Yes.
can say, this is what we're going to do, read this book, read this material, they're going to put it into play, and then I'm going to partner with them in their purpose to actually execute it. That's what coaching is to me.
Okay. Okay. So it's more or less of once you get through that healing process, it's really to help garner them to the next
Mhm.
phase and help them see it through.
Mhm.
Because
Absolutely.
sometimes we can't do that on our own.
Mhm.
One thing that I want to do, and I've been a little nervous to do it to that point, is it is Men's Mental Health Month, and I
Mhm.
take that very, very seriously,
Yeah.
and I
It's
want to culminate.
important.
It is, it
Yeah.
is, and I want to culminate a group of men
Mm.
where they can speak amongst other
Mhm.
men. The problem is I don't know if these men will want to be transparent. So of course I have to do it
Yes.
first. you know,
Bingo.
um,
Yes.
so it's kind of like, all right, and so it's something that I want to do, and help people in a sense, like, and if not help, if I'm not helping, well, maybe this guy over here will say something that'll
Mhm.
help, or that guy over there will say something.
Yes.
But getting us talking to each other
Mhm.
and lifting each other up,
Yes.
because it's hard for men to talk.
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah.
It's hard for men to talk.
And I think that's important, and especially with you starting it off to be transparent, because that's why I started doing Testify videos. Initially, Testify was a t-shirt brand
Hmm.
that I was creating, and it was like things like from prison to pastor, or it was always from something to something. And so I was like, for me to really be able to get people to share their testimonies and be willing to say what they've gone through, I should say what I've gone through. And then it just turned into something else where like people are like, oh, share more videos.
Yeah.
And so then it just like transformed. But it definitely does start with you. So with you doing it, it'll be that catalyst that'll inspire other people to do it. I think it'll be a great thing when you actually do get that going, because it is needed,
I
definitely.
Yeah, it's needed, desired, and it's something I want to do in person,
Hmm.
because people, when you're doing it virtually, you could, but in person you can feel their raw emotions and how they're
Hmm.
feeling.
Yes.
And I think it's something that we need to do as people,
Hmm.
especially as men.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead. You getting your next set of questions going. Go ahead, turn your
Well,
page, bro.
well, no. We're only like a quarter way through like the first page.
Okay, well, go ahead. Let's see.
You
Go
know,
ahead. I'm
the
ready.
well or the page. But I do this thing, this game. It's called Honest Picks, and
Ah.
typically I have you pick between like two musical people, two movie people.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode's very special to me. So I went with two different things about people. Which one would you rather have?
Oh, okay. Let's
So
do
meaning,
it.
so there's about 12 of them.
Let's do it. Let's do
Uh,
it.
so would you rather have ambition or courage?
Hmm. So when I'm answering these, I'd rather have these for myself.
Yes.
I would say ambition because I feel like a lot of times courage has to wait for an opportunity to be courageous, whereas ambition is proactive.
Okay. Would you rather be determined or disciplined?
Disciplined because I feel
Okay.
like you can be determined to complete something, but discipline is needed to execute it. I thrive on discipline. That's like a buzzword for me. Discipline all day.
That's just
All
direct
day.
to it,
All
right?
day. All day. Yeah.
Would you rather have kindness or empathy?
Um, oh, okay, bro. You trying to okay, let's see. Kindness or empathy. That's a tough one. I would say empathy only because I think it's very important to be able to understand what a person is going through. I
Okay.
thrive on that. I think empathy definitely.
Okay.
Why you
Compassion,
laughing?
compassion or consideration?
Passion or consideration?
Compassion.
Compassion or consideration. Um, consideration, compassion. I say consideration. I try to be considerate of others. So I would
Okay.
lean more into consideration because it's kind of like making sure that you have somebody in your mind as you're moving a certain way. Consideration is big for me.
Okay. Honesty or humbleness?
Ooh, you you're trying me. You know what
Let me
I'm
tell you real quick
saying?
while you're thinking. I had one of my boys on here, terrorist. He's a rapper,
Okay.
and we're talking, and was having him pick between two people, and he's
Hmm.
like, "Yo, I really hate you right now. Like, why are you doing this? What did I do so wrong?"
Yeah, it feels like that because I'm like, okay. So what is it again? Humility
It
or
was it was honest or humbleness.
um so that's difficult because I pride myself on both of those, but if I had to pick, I would say humility only because I feel like it, it's important to make sure that you keep yourself in a certain space. Like I pride myself on not thinking that I'm better than other people and just kind of living from that space. And I feel like that opens more doors. Not that honesty is not good, but I just feel like in life, when you operate in humility, it's a great virtue to have.
Okay, okay, I can respect that. Intelligent or effective?
I'd say intelligent,
Okay,
only because I pride myself on intellect. So
okay.
intelligent,
Brave or resilient?
resilient,
That's
because
you.
you could be scared and be resilient. You feel me?
That's true. That's true.
I'd
Resilient
rather
is
be
you to a
resilient.
T.
Yes, I'd rather be resilient all day. Yeah.
All right. I think this one's gonna be tough.
Okay.
Wait. Or actually, the next
Okay.
two. I
Okay.
almost skipped one. Loyalty or respect?
Um, loyalty or respect. I'd say loyalty because I'm a very loyal person. So I think,
Okay.
I mean, respect is a great one as well, but I just think, loyalty is needed these days. People are not loyal as much as they should be. We're quick to just throw things or people away and stuff. So loyalty,
Absolutely. Love or success?
love. That one isn't difficult for me because I feel like having love is being successful. Like when you have love, because who wants to be successful and not have love? You can gain everything in the world, but if you don't have people to share it with, people to celebrate with, people who are there who can have your back, that doesn't mean anything. So I'd rather have love, because I've had love. Having
Hmm.
nothing, me and my kids, I'm telling you, in that shelter, we used to watch our little movies and just eat our little snacks. And for them, sometimes they tell me those are some of the best times they had, because we had love, we had each other.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
love, okay.
Okay. I can respect it.
Love.
Dependable or productive?
Um, that's a difficult one. I guess I would say, mm, okay, so I'm gonna say dependable, because you
Okay.
got to be able to depend on
Okay.
somebody. Because if the person is productive but they don't never show up, then what good is that? But productivity is important too. But yeah, I'd rather dependable, like show up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Trustworthy or purposeful?
Trustworthy always, because I feel like, to me, trust is one of the top things as far as a person. I pride myself on being trustworthy, because if a person can't trust you, your purpose won't be lived out, because you won't get opportunities, you know? So you got to
Yeah.
be trustworthy. Trustworthy. Yes.
I got one music one.
One music one. Hit me with it. Okay.
I ask everyone, no matter what the topic is, Michael Jackson or Prince?
Michael Jackson.
Oh,
Yeah, Michael Jackson. I love Prince as far as being a musician and being very creative, but with Michael had it since he was a kid. Like
yeah.
nobody can take that away from Michael Jackson. It's
No,
like no question on. I mean, you could turn Michael Jackson on for an infant, and that baby will be tuned into that TV. That's
absolutely.
he had it.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
yeah.
now that raises, all right, two more. Biggie or
Okay.
Tupac?
Biggie or Tupac? I would say Tupac, only because I like the fact that his rhymes had a message to them. With Biggie, it's not that his didn't, but like I admire the poetic aspect and the deepness. Like Tupac was like multifaceted, in his career, even in that short time. He switched up.
Yeah.
He was a lot. He had it too. So I'd say Tupac. Got to.
Okay. Jay-Z or Nas?
Okay. Hmm. Hold up. Okay. Now, if I have to pick, I'm gonna say Jay-Z, but like I rock with Nas too,
Yeah.
though. Like I got play in my playlist. Nas is in there, but with Jay, I mean, it's kind of like no question. Like Jay all day. That's it. That's it. That's just leave it at that. Jay-Z all day.
Whitney Houston or Aretha Franklin?
Whitney Houston.
Okay.
Whitney Houston.
Mary?
Whitney had it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah.
had it.
Mary or Mariah?
Mary who? Mary J. Blige?
Yeah.
That's not even. See that all the rest of the ones I like, but like that ain't even. You just came with that one off the top of your head, because
Oh,
ain't no way you had
all
that
these is
written.
off the top of the head
Well, that
now.
one was like, okay, you run out of steam, because Mary J. or Mariah. Are we talking about vocal abilities, or are we talking about whose music I would want to listen to more?
Oh, man.
If we're talking vocal abilities, I'd say Mariah, because come on.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about whose music is going to be on my playlist, like what's the 411 is on my playlist when I'm cleaning. You feel me? Like I'm going to play Mary. Like it's Mary all day with the boots
You
and the way
know,
she like to
what's the
go, Mary.
411? Classic.
Yeah,
Classics.
Mary's it.
You
Mary
you
has it
can't.
too.
All right, all right. Here's another one.
Okay.
Chris Brown or Neo?
Chris Brown. Chris
Okay.
Brown. Ain't no question. I'm telling you, his first album still goes hard. Like,
Yeah,
ain't no question.
that album was great, but I just don't think he could top. He'll never top that second album. I don't care how many 60 song albums he
Mhm.
makes. Exclusive was. I felt like he raised the bar because I
Mhm.
felt like at that point he figured out who he was as an
Mhm.
artist.
Mhm.
Like when you know who you are as an artist, you just kind of just say, okay, I can do this
Yeah,
now.
and he's just multi-talented. I mean, between the dancing and the singing and things like with Neo, to me,
Oh, what happened?
my alarm went off on my phone. I guess it's telling
Oh,
me, all
oh,
right, yeah, we hitting that time. But nah, with Chris Brown, yeah, definitely. He's a multifaceted artist. So no question on that one.
Okay, okay. All right. Yeah, everyone seems to enjoy that game.
It was a good one. The only one where you need to kind of don't ask nobody that no more is Mary and Mariah. That one, let's just throw the whole like that question can
Throw
go
the
in the
whole
crate.
question
Yeah,
away.
don't throw the whole question away. That one is
Oh
just
wait,
like nah. Like we
I lied. One more.
one more. Okay, it better be good too. Let's go.
112 or Jagged Edge.
Um, that's now that's a good one. Okay, you redeemed
See,
yourself with that one. Okay,
see,
I would say Jagged Edge only
Okay.
because like I only know like a few hits from 112. It's like their main hits, but like I would play a Jagged Edge album. Like I have albums of theirs that I will
Oh
let
yeah.
play all the way through. So, and it might
Heartbreak's a
just be the
classic.
Atlanta part, Jagged Edge.
You
Both
can
of them.
definitely get their music right.
Yeah, definitely. Hmm.
So now we come back because you talked about being a life coach,
Hmm.
but I'm interested to know what exactly is a purpose coach.
So a purpose coach is essentially helping someone walk in their purpose practically. So like that
Mm,
vision board that you have, if I was, well, I kind of coached you. If you think about it, when we messaged and me just saying something to you to encourage you to go forth with doing your podcast, it was just
mhm.
that push or that motivation along your journey to help you to actually put to action something you wanted to do. So that's what a purpose coach does: encourage and inspire someone to put action. So we help to drive out the procrastination and help you put action to your vision of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. But the reason why purpose is different than just like a regular coach, because purpose looks different to different people. And so it's
Mhm.
not like some people's purpose may not be, oh, I want to, get a promotion at work or something like that. It can be anything that they're trying to flow in and they just need some accountability, some encouragement. Because I think what my clients get when I'm coaching is one, they feel heard, they don't feel judged, they feel like I understand where they're coming from. That's where the empathy comes in. And then also somebody who can help to translate their thoughts and feelings back to them in ways that they can't for themselves. So we can have a conversation, and what I'm going to relay back to you based on what you're saying may reveal something to you about yourself that you didn't know. So that's
Okay.
why it's like, oh, this is like my purpose because I'm helping you to identify giftings and things. So that's the difference.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Wow. I didn't even notice you did that. You slick with it. You was slick with it. You're like, I coached you, and I'm like thinking, I'm like, yo, she kinda did just on the low. She ain't even have to say it, just type it. It had the same effect. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely okay. I could see what you're saying, and that's some people need that kind of
Hmm.
stuff because you can't identify it all.
Hmm.
Like you said, it's not something that you can always, excuse me, identify.
Hmm.
And I could tell it's something that's near and dear to your heart,
It is.
and it's something that you have um, put forth the effort to really study your craft and
Hmm.
be effective at it.
Hmm.
Many people don't many people don't put forth the effort to make it their job or their purpose to help other people. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
so worried about themselves. They don't want to go that extra
Hmm.
mile.
And that's unfortunate, but I think, for me, helping the other people do what they do or inspiring other people helps me
Hmm.
because I feel like what I am for people is what I would have wanted to have when it was just me and God trying to figure things out, me having to lean on God to direct my path. So
Yeah.
with other people, it's a blessing because when I can be that support and that encouragement for them to help them to do things and be courageous, I didn't have that. So I had to just be like, okay, Lord, and I'm doing things at a young age and making moves and moving to different states, like pursuing opportunity. It was a climb to get to where I am. And so essentially, the only thing I'm doing is being that blueprint, or helping people to walk out their purpose in a way that I didn't have per se. And I had God, obviously, but just as a person, where when you're going through something, being able to share my thoughts and things, that's why I have this wealth of knowledge built up within me, because it was just me and God trying to figure
Yeah.
stuff out. And so now it blesses me, because I want people to do well. Like who doesn't want to see the world get better? It's a blessing when someone finds their purpose, because it's something that is put in someone that God wants to get out into the earth. And there are people who die with inventions and cures to diseases and different things because their purpose is not discovered and they don't walk in it. And so for any person who wants to hate on someone, like, you're robbing yourself, because everybody's gifting is meant to bless the collective. Me being a purpose coach, it blesses me, because when somebody excels, it's just putting back into the pot of what goes around the world. And so that's why I
Yes.
feel like it blesses me. Like, it's not, I thrive on it, to
Yes.
see someone who didn't think they could do something. And then I know that I was a part of that. I feel humbled and blessed to be a part of it. So yeah.
It brings me to one of your videos, because I ain't gonna lie, I saved some of them on my phone. I ain't gonna front. Like the good ones, I save them, and then I put them in my favorites. So when I need some inspiration,
Yeah.
I just be like, oh, okay, yep, this one. Well,
Well, that's
of the
good.
one of the best things you said out of all the videos you posted,
Okay.
and I hold this in my head,
Okay.
is when you said you said, um, you should never be afraid to do that business venture. Is how
Mm-hmm.
you started it.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you think of is five reasons why it won't work,
Mm.
and right there, you don't even need to hear no more. That is just something that, like, it's like a negative transgression that goes
Mm-hmm.
into people's heads,
Yeah.
that, like, it's like, okay, well, I can't do this,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't, or I like, like, for example, I'm trying to get endorsements on my CDL,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I have this predetermined idea from school, because that I'm a terrible test taker. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can read things 100 times, I can't remember them. Like, the knowledge, the information just doesn't stick. Well, what ends up happening is then I go take the test, and let's say I don't
Mm-hmm.
pass, I get discouraged, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I go away from it for like a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and then I try it again, and then eventually it happens. But it's just like, I can't get that thought of, I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
good test taker
Mm-hmm.
out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you put the paper in front of me. It's like,
Yeah.
like, man,
Mm-hmm.
give me three choices instead of four. Help a brother out a
Yeah.
little bit. Like,
Narrow it down.
jeez, like, why's it gotta be
Yeah.
four? Can't
Mm-hmm.
be three?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
so,
what I would say to you, well, go ahead, finish your thought first, because I have
yeah,
something I want to say to you.
no. So it was just like, just kind of getting that thought out, just
Mm-hmm.
pushing it away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having
Mm-hmm.
just that utmost trouble.
Well, that's deep that you said that. Now, it's interesting because, like, when I'm doing the videos, a lot of times I can't recall what I've said. I would have to go back and watch. No, listen, for real, because it flows from my heart. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
Yeah.
I'm so passionate and I so want someone. Like, I don't do videos for likes or shares or just any of those things, because I feel like it's always going to be one person that maybe didn't like it, didn't share it, but just heard something that I said that changed and transformed their life. And for me, like I have said a lot of times in my videos, like, I thought I was a failure in life because of the way I started off. Because I'm like, dang, I feel like everything they said don't do, like, don't get pregnant, don't drop out of school. Like, it's like I was playing opposites. Like, it's opposite
you
day.
you
You know
was
what I'm
doing the
saying?
exact opposite.
I'm
Like,
telling you,
wait a
oh, don't
minute.
get pregnant. Okay, I went and did it. So because of that, I started off with a lot of strongholds in my mind based on my capabilities. Something that shocks people is, like, there were years where I didn't think I was intelligent. And I
Oh,
know that would seem crazy because people are like, girl, you one of the smartest people I know. But literally, I lived with that thought so strong in my mind based on things that were said to me in that domestic violence situation as a teen, and just feeling like I couldn't do the right things, that I wasn't going to make the right choices because I had such a track record of making negative choices in my life. And so I had to literally overcome it. And that's why I say that with people, like the way that you think. So for you, it's a lie, right? Because you're not a bad test taker. And like if people can realize that there are so many barriers that they place upon themselves based on modes of thinking, and they go all the way back to when you were in school. And look at how old we are. We haven't been in school in say what, 20 whatever years, how far
Yeah.
back that dates. And so that's why it's important to have someone be able to encourage you and just help you, because we carry these things and they're lies. You're not a bad test taker. And like if we can move those barriers, those are the blockages. So it's
Yeah.
not that you can't do it. It's not where you live. It's not, there's not opportunity. Literally, these are invisible, intangible forces that are stopping people from being successful, stopping people from going in purpose. And it's not even an outside person. This is you within yourself, stopping yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of times what I fight to do, which is that shadow part of a person, which is this, it's this persona that's been built up from things people have told you and things that you've encountered and failures that you haven't settled within yourself to understand that sometimes we're meant to fail. Like I have failed so many times in my life, but like I thrive on it because it's like, okay, in school, for example, a spelling test, I failed a question of spelling the word gnome, Gnome. I never forgot it, right? Because I failed at it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It
So with
sticks up there.
that, sometimes when we fail, the the disappointment that we receive from that failure actually can strengthen us. But if we get ashamed or we get guilty or we just look at it as, oh well, I'm just never, then instead of it being able to be something that can fuel you towards greatness, it becomes this barrier. And then you have this whole person, this whole voice that you hear, that every time you
Mm-hmm.
get ready to do something, that thing is talking to you. And depending on how long and how many instances of failure and shame somebody has had, and they haven't learned to shut that voice up and learn to combat it, there there are people walking around who are not actually exercising their purpose. And that's what I have to do. Like I literally, when I be saying y'all this, I literally have to say like, girl, you are that girl. Like I talk to myself, I have my affirmations and I pray scriptures where I'm like, no, because I've got to combat this, because the biggest barrier to purpose is the individual. It's not family, it's not history, it is believing deep within you that you are who you are. And that's probably what you hear when I'm talking, because I've gotten to a place where I'm like, oh no, no, honey, I don't care. I might mess up, but one thing we gonna be is successful, baby. We gonna
Yeah.
take that.
Uh-huh.
We
We
gonna
gonna
use
get
that as,
that.
we're gonna use it as fuel. And every time I fail, I take a moment, right? I feel it because I'm human. I allow myself to feel it, but then I go within, because my mom is like, girl, you're so self-reflective. Like I want to look at it. I want to feel that. I want to say, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Because if I can figure that out and I can just be like, you know what? I did this. Okay. I went here. I was tired. I spent that money. If I can do that practically, I don't ever have to experience that failure again.
Yeah.
But if I hold on to it and I let it be a barrier, then I'll find myself in bondage. And 10 years then went by and I had an invention that could have made me a millionaire and set up my family. But I'm so scared and so fearful in my mind. Come on, somebody. That's all I
Well,
got for you, Mike. That's all I got for you, Mike.
shit.
It's time for us to walk in purpose.
Woo.
We're gonna shut that side person up with that failure talk and those doubting, limiting beliefs, and we are going to speak positive to ourselves and understand that we have greatness and purpose within us, and the failures are stepstones, right?
To get to the success.
Yep, that's it.
Jeez.
That's a hashtag. No,
Well,
that's
you
a hashtag.
you you got deep there, and I didn't even get to the deep
Ooh.
rooted questions. So
Okay.
now I got, hold on right here now. One, two.
And let's see, because one thing we want to be is decent in order. So we didn't have these folks. So let's do like 15 more minutes, and then because I feel like by then that's enough. Then it becomes long winded. So I just
Okay.
so let's
Okay.
pick your best. But let's
Okay.
see.
So there. Let's
Bring that
go.
thing on home, as they say at church.
You know. Okay, let's see. Out of these questions,
I was prepared. I'm like, hold up, because I'll get to talking now. Don't give me a mic.
what is the meaning of life, and what is the meaning of your life?
You're trying. Okay. It's like, the heck? Okay. What is the meaning of life? Mm, I think what my book is titled, like, it's, well, what I speak about in my book is the meaning of life is knowing God and beginning to experience God in a real way and getting to know yourself and experience who you truly are, regardless of the obstacles and things you face, and persevering over those things to get to a predetermined destination. That's what I think, while blessing other people and encountering other people along the way. That's what I think. But the most two important things a person can do is knowing God and knowing themselves. Because if you do that, you can deal with people if you know God. You can deal with people if you know yourself. I don't try to change people. I just try to know myself enough so that I can categorize and deal with people according to who they reveal themselves to be. That's what I would say. What is life to me? Life is life is, I would say the same thing, overcoming obstacles so that every hardship, every hard time, every setback, every failure you've ever had isn't in vain. Like for me, I don't fear as much encountering failures and things, and I don't fear it, but I'm just meaning I don't feel as bad about failures as I feel about going through those things in vain. It's my goal in my life to say, okay, these are the cards I was dealt. This is the hand I'm playing, and at the end of the game,
Mhm.
like I want to make sure that I'm winning. That's what I feel in
Absolutely.
whatever capacity that is, and that's what I think life is to me, is taking what you have encountered, the hand you've been dealt, and using it to your advantage. Failures, weaknesses, all those things, and still becoming successful for what it means to you at the end of your journey, however much time you have on this planet.
Oof. It ain't about living a long life. It's about living a complete life.
Well, you can live a long life too, and I think that, don't get me started. I think that
But I mean, for people who unfortunately aren't here today,
I would
in that regard.
say in that regard, but I would say from the perspective of people could live a lot longer of a life if they lived life more wise. Because one thing I learned along my journey is a lot of times I was making my life more difficult than it had to be, and people can do things daily not from a space of wanting to have a long life. So there's
Mhm.
those freak unfortunate accidents that happen, but then there's people that you see that die of cancer or just different things because they've lived stressful or they haven't taken care of themselves and they have not done the best at being the best in life. So that's why I'm like, discipline, eating right, going to bed, taking care of yourself. These are actually principles that you can do and have a longer life, barring some kind of freak accident. But people don't even do the best they can with the controllable things that they have.
Yes.
So I think you can live a long life. You just need to be wise about it on a daily basis and have longevity on your mind with everything that you do. And that's how I live. I'm always thinking about longevity, my future, and how whatever I'm doing right now, it's like chess. How does it impact my life like 4 moves down in the game
Mm.
of life? You know what I mean?
Mm. I know. Ooh, that spell. This is one of those episodes I don't even want it to end. Like it's
I
a,
know, and I'm like, hold up now. We can't, okay, we a book a life coaching session. We
you
can't just
know,
be here all day with all these, you know what
you
I'm
know, there's a lot of gems in this episode. So, what is your greatest strength, and what is your biggest weakness?
I think my greatest strength is that I go to God regardless, whatever
Hmm.
happens in my life. When I fail, when I find myself in a crazy position, I never run from God. Even if I experienced something crazy, like when my dad passed, I didn't run from God because I feel like in anything I encounter, God is the only one who can help me. He knows me the best. He knows how life is made. He knows my tomorrow. So I think that's my greatest strength, because even when I've done something crazy and sin or just done something real, just like,
Hmm.
girl, I don't run from God. I've learned to lean into God truly in the relationship. And people don't always do that. And when you do that, and whether you fail and you sin, and then you feel like, oh, I'm gonna like section off this part of my life. God knows everything. So for me, I think that's my greatest strength. And then I think my greatest weakness would be, sometimes I don't think I spend enough time like enjoying my success or my progress, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
always thinking about what is the next thing. So
Yes.
like these days, I've literally had to like learn to be mindful and learn to celebrate my successes and just like bask in that, instead of always being like, okay, that's done. Like, what's the next thing?
Next.
Yeah, like that I think is a great weakness, because it's great to celebrate your accomplishments, like it's a good thing when you overcome in something. But if you're just so busy like next, then you've missed like the opportunity to experience that moment. And I think I need to do that more.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm stuck between two questions.
Ask them both. Just throw them in the basket. Ask them
Okay.
both. Hopefully they don't make me go long winded, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna
what
try. Keep it short.
what was something, what was the, well, hold on, I'm trying to read three questions at once. I was
Take your
on three lines.
time. Take your time.
What is something you do differently than anyone else, and why?
Um, Something I do differently than anyone else would be seeing the weakness of people, as far as like if someone hurts me or something like that, um but still being able to allow the good that I see in that person to overpower that. Like I feel like when I meet people, even the most crazy like family members I have that's loud and just all that, whereas people see those things, I can see all those things and maybe the negative traits about that person, but it doesn't impact me being able to like accept them and love them and just still encourage them and treat them the way they deserve to be treated, regardless of maybe them making a mistake or whatever. I think that is something, because everybody tells me that. My family's always like, you never judge me, or you're always so, regardless, I can call you and tell you something crazy and you still don't treat me, and I don't blink an eye. And I think that comes from my own, where I'm like, oh, Shawty, I can't even say nothing about what you done did. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not even
word.
gonna judge you. Like, you don't even know what I done did. And so I would say that, because I love people, and sometimes like there is humanity in people, and you see the ugly parts of what a person can do. But I think loving a person beyond that and being able to see the good in them and having the thought that they can be good, I think that is something that I do different than a lot of people.
Mm. Yeah, 'cause sometimes it's hard for people not, for when people do things to kind of not be taken back, depending on who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are things out of the realm, like things that's like you shouldn't did that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like if someone's like, yeah, man, like, I don't know, I shot someone. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, like, yeah, bro.
Yeah. And
Like,
that's from the moral perspective.
like,
Like, that's
don't.
from the right and wrong side of things. But I think
Right.
the perspective that I come from is like how I view life and how I view people is everybody needs God.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that somebody does something crazy is because a lot of times like they don't know that they can be better. Like for me being a young girl and seeing young girls do certain things and people judging them, or women who do certain things, they don't know any better. They don't know that they can be great. They don't know how beautiful they are. They don't know that they're intelligent and that they have other things to offer besides their body. Or this person might have shot this person, but they were ignorant in the moment because they had other, like there's always a reason why people do things. And I don't try to excuse, because people can do some really dark things, but a lot of times it's that they need God. We all need God. And there's
Mm-hmm.
no level. Like people look at it like, oh well, at least I didn't, but you lie, you know what I'm saying? Or you doing this or doing, and so that's where the humility has to come in, because when we get in a position where we want to just like judge people so deeply, a lot of times that means that you're not aware of your shortcomings. Because when you really can just like wholeheartedly, and I'm not talking about stuff that's just like, yeah, that's wrong, but that's from a moral perspective. I'm talking about from
Yes.
the judgment of, because any person put with their back against the wall has the potential to do crazy things. People don't want to acknowledge that, but like if you put a person in a crazy, crazy situation and just give them this compound circumstance of this happening, I lost my job, my wife let, you put a person under that amount of pressure in life, people can do different things. And so that's why I try not to judge, because it's like like people that we all need God. We all need to be loved. We all along the way have been mishandled. And depending on the degree of that being mishandled, it determines how ugly and how much darkness a person can live out in life. And that's what I look at when I deal with people.
Man, I'm blown away again. I need a
Is
fan.
this the second question? This the first question?
That was the first question.
All right, let's go.
This one
Let's
had to
do
be
it.
asked though.
Okay.
Do you believe
Let me see what this
people?
question is. Go
Huh?
ahead. I'm trying to see what it is. You said it had to be asked, so I'm curious what it is.
Do people need to have a purpose, or can they live life purposeless?
I think every person has a purpose, but people can choose to forfeit that if they value something greater than their purpose. So, meaning you could have a person that really is an artist and wants to be an artist, but because the way they were raised and their family wanted them to be a lawyer, they can live their life being a lawyer. But to me, I feel like if a person doesn't walk in their purpose, they always will feel some kind of unfulfilled part of them, even if they don't acknowledge, because everybody's born with a purpose. And so people can live purposeless intentionally by choosing to like reject what their purpose is and conform to whatever someone's telling them. But I think they still always will feel a lack of fulfillment in some way, and that thing will show up in some kind of way, whether it's drinking, whatever it is. It's because they're not being fulfilled by exercising the purpose that God gave them. I believe that.
Mm. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense. It's kind of like an analogy, like if you like we all watched Full House growing up.
Yes,
And
we
you
did.
remember when Uncle Jesse's dad wanted him to stay in the killing bugs
Mm-hmm.
and take the family business, but he wanted to play music, and
Mm-hmm.
then he kicked him out the family.
Mm-hmm.
That's just that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like to your point. Like he knew his purpose, but his dad was like, how many bugs
And
have you
to the
killed?
point, the reason for that is to operate in purpose, you have to, like I think you might have heard it in one of my videos, like you have to pursue your purpose, like you have to be in relentless pursuit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Me choosing to walk in my purpose all the time, it causes me to have to say no to a lot of things. Like you have to guard your purpose and be serious about walking in it. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times you have to overcome things because there are people who either you were raised by, friends, family, who are not going to be happy about what you're going towards in purpose. And that is a lot of times why people don't operate in it, because it's like, oh, well, my dad is going to disown me, or and so the desire or the burning passion within them for that purpose can get quenched when there's fear or there's opposition or there's judgment, where somebody tells you, well, you ain't never going to be able to do that, because they can't see it because it's not their purpose. And so a lot of times that's what happens with people, where when they're at that crossroads, because for me, I was terrified. The first time I did my first Testify video and I talked about giving up my first son for adoption when I got pregnant at 14,
Mm-hmm.
and I had never told anybody that. My family members
Oh,
didn't know that. And
oh,
so
damn.
it's like family who called me after that and was like, "What? Like you
Like
were
wait,
pregnant?" Like
like
I was pregnant in NFA for, like I went and had my and came back and did the step show. I had my baby like 10 days before I had to come back to school. Like there's, you didn't know that, people didn't know that. And so when it was time for
wow.
me to do that first Testify, I was terrified because I'm like, Lord, it was like judgment, and I'm just like, this is just like sharing some of the biggest, like, quote unquote failures that I was looking at that time. But because I had that desire and that pull within me to be like, you know what, but I just feel like this is what God is telling me to do, and I want people to be set free, I did it, and it was freeing for me. But like there's always this crossroad that people come to where you got to decide purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I go towards purpose, or do I stay with the programming that I've been given? Purpose or programming? Do I go towards this and be, risk, because you might fail a few times before it catch on, or do
Mm-hmm.
I just conform back to what people expect and what's the norm and what's easy? Do I just go get that job at Walmart because trying to start my own business, like there's
Yeah.
always that crossroad. And you've gotta have that relentless pursuit of your purpose to where you're like, you know what, no, because for me, I feel like if I don't do the things I feel God is leading me to do, like I just can't. Like it's
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is people always think about what can go wrong, never about what can go right.
mm-hmm.
That's,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we think about what can go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
not right.
Yeah. It's like that though. I mean, I think a lot of times that's how we're programmed because if you think about it, even from how people raise their children, most of the time we're told what not to do. We're
Yes.
told no, don't do that, don't, no, don't. Not always like, well, instead of doing that, here, come over here and color. A lot of times we don't redirect. A lot of times we get programmed into how we should behave, and so
Hmm.
with doing that, like the brain, we can't separate and compartmentalize what that applies to. And so if I've always been told, oh no, you got to follow the rules, you got to do this or that, that thing is going to permeate my life until I decide to
Hmm.
be like, you know what? No, like I want to do this thing, I'm going to do this thing. And so, yeah, I think it's how we're bred a lot of times until somebody is like, you know what? No, I'm going to overcome that thing regardless. And that's why you see the great people in the world that are the greats who stepped into their purpose regardless, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. One more thing I'm going to ask you.
okay.
Well, technically
Two,
two, but one's quick. Technically two.
two and a half.
Technically.
I'm
So
ready.
we talk about test to fly. I
Uh-huh.
love it. I
Hmm.
absolutely love the concept.
Yeah.
But there is a technical thing that says there's a podcast coming on your page.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Will that
yeah.
will that be coming? So because I'm invested now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so I want to know. I want to know, is it coming? When's it happening? Or
Yeah,
when's it in the works?
it's coming. So there's so many things that I have that I'm doing behind the scenes, and so I have to do things in order of the way that they fall. So the podcast will be coming, but I have like other business ventures that I want to be able to get going because my main focus is creating streams. Because I used to have a lot more, like when I was in Atlanta, I was doing a lot more things. And so now, like to be able to really thoroughly do the other things, like you know, pouring into the women at the shelter, just certain things. There's other
Okay.
things that take precedence over it, but it is coming very soon. But so in the meantime, I've just been doing my Testify videos, and then I'm going to work out the logistics of the podcast, but it's just not high on the list because there are just
Okay.
other steps that I have to get executed first before
Okay.
that comes out. But you'll be the first, you'll be one of the first to know
Okay. All
when it's
right.
ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
When it's
So
ready.
where can anyone who wants to find you, if they just want to see the videos and hear your words, or maybe someone who watching this now or watching this back
Mhm.
might need a purpose or a life coach, where can they find you?
Okay, so they can find me at Courtland Speaks, and that is C like Charlie, OURT like Tony, LAN like Nancy, D like dog, T like Tony, Speaks like the word on IG. They can find me there. I'm trying to grow my Instagram following, so they can go there or they can find me on Facebook as Courtlandt Christenson, and that's where my Testify is housed, my videos that I put up.
And beautiful, beautiful. And even though I don't think you need to do this with all the gems you dropped, I end each episode with a positive ending message. You
Uh-huh.
gave about 100 of them, but one more can't hurt. So,
If I had to give any positive message to someone, I would say to understand that failure is not always bad. Setbacks are not always meant to hold you back. That weaknesses that you have can be strengths. It's all about understanding how you're built and leveraging that for you to be able to move forward in life. And so, if we would think more and extract the lessons from our history and things we've gone through and apply it to life and create strategies for our lives, then we would be better off. And so, we can't just live life aimless. You can't just live life without a focus, without a vision, without a main goal that you want to accomplish. And so getting strategic about the way you approach life, understanding your history and using it to your advantage, you're unstoppable if you do that. And the reason why I focused more on the failures and things is because failure is not a negative thing. We've been taught that, but like when you fail, you learn. So focusing on those things, focusing on your weaknesses to understand, you may not like taking tests, you may not like this or that, but that's not necessarily a negative thing. There's still
Yeah.
positive things. So in all things, great things can come out of it. And so switching your mindset to where just because something doesn't feel good or just because something doesn't look good, some of those things can be some of the greatest like setups for a comeback in your life if you would just allow it to be instead of focusing so much on failed expectations or disappointments because it didn't go according to your plan. That's what I would say.
Mm. Can't end it. Jeez. You can't end it. You're like I've executively decided for you. You're coming back. That's it.
Okay, I'll be
That's
back.
it.
I will
That's
be
it.
back.
Because I believe that, there's more to indulge with, to go forward, and
Mhm.
to be better.
Mhm.
One of my close friends, she's been watching this whole video. Her name's Kyra, and
Hi, Kyra.
and we talk about purpose all the time. Actually, on my vision board here, we had planned to start. I don't know if you can read that, but it
No,
says,
you know I can't read that, Mike. It's
I
backwards.
tried, I
It's
tried,
backwards and
but
squiggly.
we planned on starting a purpose podcast,
Hmm.
and the idea is to really speak about what it is.
Mhm.
Right now, life's kind of in the way of
Mhm.
of it, but I think it's the devil trying to stop us. I think he's trying to really say,
Well, hold on. Let me
uh,
just cut in
yeah,
with that, right? I don't glorify or give the devil so much. Like, I feel like that's also another barrier,
hmm,
right? Life always life, right?
yeah,
Regardless. But the devil doesn't have the power to stop you as much as you think. There are plenty of scriptures that talk about how God, one, that God created us in his image, two, that the enemy is defeated, three, that Christ is seated on the throne and that all things are finished. We have to operate from that place to understand that things are already done. What we have to do is line up with the vision that God has given. But giving the devil credit to say that he can't stop anything that God has in store. He can't. He
hmm,
doesn't have the power to. God is bigger. To say that the devil is able to hinder anything that you're trying to do is making it as if he's greater than God, and he's not. So I never live my life from a perspective of saying, oh, Satan is busy, because that comes from, it makes you a victim, as if he can overcome you and as if he can't stop you. Now you can say, hey, right now my life is not set up to where I feel like I can go towards that. But to really just make him a force in your life, that's another one of those voices that'll tell you when you have a series of obstacles that, oh, it's the devil. But it may be that you need to do better with managing your time. It may be that you're procrastinating. It may be that you need to read. It may be that you need to research. You may need to network with people who can guide you. But like, there's always like a way for God to overpower whatever it is. So I never come from a space of glorifying the devil and saying what he's doing, because he's a defeated foe according to the word. So I would say that. So we got to switch our mindset when it comes to that, because when you make it that, you're going to hold yourself back more than just saying, okay, Lord, and giving God glory to say, God, I thank you that regardless of what's happened. You understand there's a difference. It's
yes,
always the energy and the beginning point. If you're coming from, oh, the devil, then it's like, oh, I'm negative, I'm defeated, I'm fearful. But if you're like, you
yeah,
know what, God, like that's what I'm always doing. Like, you know what, Lord, I'm quick to confess the opposite of whatever's happening. I'm tired today. Lord, I thank you that I'm healed, I'm healthy, I'm whole, I'm refreshed. I thank you, Lord, that no matter how I'm feeling in this moment, I believe that I'm going to overcome. That's the way that we have to approach life, because that's where the power and the victory comes from, as opposed to leaning into, oh, the devil, because it weakens you, because you're not operating in the authority and the power that God has given you. You got to stand up in that. So that's just the way that I live my life. So I would say
Wolf.
that. That's another whole, I would just say that God is greater, because if you ever say the devil, that means some part of you in some kind of way is acknowledging that you think he's more powerful than God, which we know he's not.
Never
So,
looked at it that way.
yeah. So that's it, That's all I would say.
You know, I want to, before I even go, I'm going to wrap it up right now.
Okay.
Thank you, sis, for coming on. I love you.
Love you too, bro.
This
Tell the
was a
queen I said hey
will
too.
do. She's
Okay.
at work.
Oh, I was gonna say
She works nights.
okay.
Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome, bro.
appreciate you. You'll be back on. We're gonna have to have more talks off screen because there's some stuff I want to say, but if I say it
Okay.
on the screen, we're
Okay.
gonna be up here for another hour. So we will discuss
Yeah.
that on video
Later. Catch me
chat off
offline.
screen at
Catch
a
me.
later time.
I got you, bro. I got you. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me. I
Of
appreciate it.
course, and we'll see you soon.
See you
Love you.
soon. Love you
That
too.
everyone, thank you for tuning in. This was episode 15.
Woo!
Episode 15 of Honest Hour. I will be back next week, Thursday night, 8 p.m. with Saleha Stack, local R&B singer, dope vibe, phenomenal person. I'm
Mm-hmm.
Mike Williams. That's Courtlandt Christenson. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye.